Guys, I am so happy you requested a part 2. This is my second request. This is not a copy and paste channel, so I am listening. Please subscribe if you can. I am still working towards at least that 1,000 point. Main story. Being in a relationship with Aria Vale was surprisingly normal. Which was the problem? I had expected drama, secret conspiracies, mind-reading cults, government interest. That was just not her. I just expected something out of the norm. Instead, I got brunch. 3 months into dating, and our biggest challenge was that she scheduled brunches like military operations. 11 o'clock. That's breakfast. It's brunch. That's breakfast wearing a fake mustache. It's not. It absolutely is. Aria calmly sipped her coffee. That was another thing. She smiled more now. Not often, but enough. The first time she smiled at a waiter, the poor guy nearly dropped a tray. The second time she smiled in a board meeting, Maya had called me in a panic asking whether Aria was sick. Progress. Still, relationships were dangerous. Not because of conflict. Because of comfort. Comfort made you careless. And carelessness eventually led to feelings. Very suspicious. The fight started over something stupid. Like all important fights. I was 30 minutes late. Not intentionally. I had lost track of time refurbishing an old record player I found at a flea market. Which sounded ridiculous. Because it was. By the time I arrived at Aria's apartment, dinner was cold. Aria was sitting at the table. Waiting. The room felt wrong immediately. Too quiet. Not peaceful. Tense. I knew. You forgot. Not angry. Worse. Disappointed. I remembered. You were late. Technically true. Ethan. I rubbed the back of my neck. Damn. This wasn't one of our playful arguments. This was real. I got distracted. I know. That somehow made it worse. Her eyes lowered. You vanish when things start mattering. The words struck harder than expected. Because they weren't entirely wrong. I laughed weakly. That's dramatic. Static. Tiny. The smallest sound. Aria heard it instantly. Her face changed. I froze. Crap. That had been a lie. Not to her. To myself. She stood. I don't care about dinner. Aria, I care that every time something becomes important, you act like it isn't. Silence. I hated this conversation. Because I couldn't joke my way out. And because every word felt true. For the first time since we met, Aria walked away first. 3 days. No calls. No visits. Just texts. Short ones. Painfully polite ones. The emotional equivalent of corporate correspondence. Aria meeting moved. Me okay. May did you eat? Aria yes. Aria weather is terrible. Me sky seems committed. This was terrible. We were becoming civilized. A clear warning sign. My father found me staring at my phone. Fight. No. That's a yes. How? You're looking at your screen like it insulted you. I pointed. She's mad. Did you deserve it? Probably. He nodded. Then apologize. Absolutely not. Why? Because then I'd have to admit she was right. Ethan. I groaned. My father leaned back. You know the difference between being lazy and being afraid. I frowned. One sounds more fun. Being lazy is deciding something isn't worth the effort. He looked directly at me. Being afraid is deciding you're not. Well, that was rude. The next day, Maya appeared at my apartment. Uninvited. Terrifying. She entered carrying coffee. No greeting. No warmth. Just judgment. You're an idiot. I accepted the coffee. Good morning to you too. Maya sat down. You know why she likes you. Low standards. No. Terrible vision. No. Financial incentives. No. She sighed. Because you're genuine. I made a face. Disgusting. She spent her whole life surrounded by lies. Maya leaned forward. Do you know what she said after you left? No. Everyone leaves eventually. The room went still. Ouch. Maya stood. Fix it. Then left. Like an emotional assassin. That night I went to Aria's office. Not because Maya told me to. Because Maya absolutely did tell me to. The lights were still on. Naturally. The woman treated sleep like an optional software update. I entered without knocking. Bad idea. Aria glanced up. Her expression immediately became neutral. Professional. I hated it. What are you doing here? Committing emotional growth. Her eyebrow rose. A dangerous hobby. I know. Silence. Then. I'm sorry. There. I said it. The world did not end. Shockingly. Aria looked stunned. Not because of the apology. Because it was real. I was late. I continued. And I joked because I didn't want to admit I messed up. She remained quiet. I swallowed. The truth is, when something matters to me, I get nervous. Her eyes softened. Dangerously. I spent years acting like nothing mattered because if nothing mattered, I couldn't fail. The admission tasted awful. Like medicine. Small static. Tiny. Aria's breath caught. Fear. Not a lie. Fear. She slowly stood. And now. I looked at her. The woman who heard lies. The woman who knew me better than anyone. The woman I loved enough to terrify myself. Now I'm scared because you matter. Silence. Complete silence. The good kind. Aria crossed the office. Then wrapped her arms around me. No hesitation. No armor. No ice queen. Just Aria. And for the first time, she wasn't listening for lies. She was listening for truth. Months later, everything changed. Not suddenly. Gradually. Almost invisibly. Veil systems grew. My consulting business expanded. My father stopped introducing me as my son. He started introducing me as Ethan. That meant more than I admitted. But the biggest change happened one quiet evening. Aria and I sat on a rooftop watching the city lights. No meetings. No scandals. No corporate warfare. Just us. She rested her head on my shoulder. Something she would never have done a year ago. Ethan. Yeah. I've been noticing something. Immediate concern. That sounds dangerous. She smiled. A little. Then she looked at the skyline. For most of my life, all I heard were lies. Her voice was soft. I measured people by the sounds they made. I listened. But recently, She hesitated. I'm hearing something else. I looked at her. What? She smiled, the kind of smile that only appeared when she forgot to guard herself. Truth. The city lights reflected in her eyes. It's quieter. She squeezed my hand. But it's there. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then I ruined the mood. Naturally. So basically, dating me upgraded your software. Aria laughed. A real laugh. Warm. Bright. Beautiful. Unbelievable. What? You just turned a romantic moment into tech support. It's my gift. She kissed my cheek, then settled back against me. Below us, Manhattan glowed. Above us, stars fought through city light. And beside me sat the woman who could hear every lie in the world. The woman who no longer needed silence, because she had finally found something better. Someone worth listening to. The invitation arrived on a Tuesday morning. Black envelope. Silver lettering. No return address. Already suspicious. Normal invitations came by email, where they could be ignored responsibly. Aria placed the envelope on my kitchen counter. I examined it from a safe distance. What is it? An invitation. I gathered that from its strong invitation-shaped energy. She ignored me and opened it. Inside was a single card. Miss Vale and Mr. Cole, you are invited to a private gathering at the Halcyon Estate. Saturday, 8:00 p.m. Come prepared to hear the truth. I read it twice, then looked at Aria. No, you don't even know who sent it. Exactly. Mystery invitations have never led to brunch. Her eyes remained fixed on the card. That was when I noticed her hand. It was trembling. Slightly. Almost invisibly. Aria. She turned the card over. A symbol had been stamped into the paper. A silver circle split by a vertical line. Her face had gone pale. You recognize it? She did not answer immediately. That meant yes. I stepped closer. What is it? When I was 13, my parents took me to a doctor. A specialist. That's what they called him. Her voice had changed. It was quieter now, pulled from somewhere far away. He said my ability wasn't an illness. He said there were others. My stomach tightened. Others who could hear lies. Not exactly. She touched the symbol. Others who could hear things normal people couldn't. I stared at the invitation again. Suddenly, the black paper looked less dramatic and more threatening. What happened to the doctor? He disappeared. Disappeared as in retired. No. Disappeared as in moved. No. Disappeared as in we should call the police before attending the haunted rich person mansion. Aria finally looked at me. I need to know who sent this. That was the problem with Aria. Once she needed an answer, self-preservation became a negotiable expense. I sighed. Fine. Her eyebrows rose. Fine. Yes, we'll go. You agreed quickly. I'm growing. That sounds unlikely. It feels terrible. She folded the invitation and slipped it back into the envelope. I pointed at her. But if anyone starts chanting in Latin, we leave. Agreed. If there's a basement, we don't enter it. Reasonable. And if someone offers us a mysterious drink, you try it first. She stared. I withdraw my agreement. Halcyon Estate stood 2 hours outside Manhattan. Stone walls. Iron gates. Miles of forest. The kind of place where wealth and terrible secrets raised children together. As our car approached, I counted 6 security cameras, 2 guards, and 1 stone fountain depicting what appeared to be a woman drowning dramatically. "Cheerful," I said. Aria sat beside me, silent. She had worn a black dress and a coat buttoned to the throat. Armor. Whenever she dressed like that, the Ice Queen was preparing for battle. I took her hand. She glanced down. "You're nervous," she said. "No." Her head tilted. "Silent." "Completely." "Then you're nervous, but refusing to admit it. Your ability has too many loopholes." The gates opened. Our car continued along the private drive. The mansion appeared between the trees, all gray stone and tall windows glowing against the night. More cars waited outside. Expensive ones. Very expensive ones. The sort of cars owned by people who referred to crimes as complications. Maya had insisted on coming. She sat in the front seat with her tablet, looking deeply unhappy. "I ran the estate records," she said. "The property is owned by a holding company controlled by another holding company." "Rich people nesting dolls," I said. "The final listed beneficiary is named Lucian Cross." Aria went completely still. I noticed. "So you know him too?" "No." That reaction says otherwise. "I know the name." "How?" She looked out the window. "He funded the specialist who examined me." "Wonderful." The mystery doctor had a mystery billionaire patron. This evening had improved from dangerous to aggressively stupid. The car stopped. A man waited at the top of the stairs. He looked about 35, maybe 40, tall, composed, silver-gray suit, dark hair brushed neatly back. He smiled as we approached. "Aria Vale." Aria froze. Not visibly to anyone else, but I felt her entire body lock beside me. Lucian extended his hand. "I've wanted to meet you for a very long time." There was no reaction from Aria. No flinch. No tension. No visible pain. I should have been relieved. Instead, dread crawled up my spine. She did not take his hand. "You sent the invitation." "Yes." Still no response from her ability. Aria's eyes narrowed. "You're lying." Lucian's smile deepened. "Am I?" Her face changed. For the first time since I had known her, Aria Vale looked afraid of silence. Inside the estate, 20 guests gathered beneath crystal chandeliers. Politicians, executives, scientists, a retired judge, 2 people I recognized from magazine covers, and 1 man I vaguely remembered from a documentary about private space travel. Every guest seemed confused about why they had been invited. That made me feel better. Nothing builds confidence like shared danger. Lucian moved through the room, greeting everyone. Each time he spoke, Aria watched him. Each time she heard nothing. "I don't understand," she whispered. We stood near the back of the room. "Maybe he isn't lying. He said he was happy to see Senator Warren." I glanced at the senator, who was currently shouting at a waiter because his drink contained ice. "Good point." He also told Maya he had no interest in Vale Systems. And he has attempted to purchase shares through 4 shell companies. I looked across the room at Lucian. He caught my gaze. Smiled. I disliked him immediately. Not for any rational reason. His smile just looked like it had received professional training. "He's like me," I said. Aria turned. "No. My lies are silent. Your careless lies are silent. The lies you use to hurt yourself are loud." And his. All of them are silent. That was worse. Much worse. Lucian lifted a glass. The conversations quieted. Thank you for coming. Aria's fingers tightened around mine. Lucian continued. Every person in this room has experienced something science cannot adequately explain. The guests shifted. No one here was chosen randomly. He looked directly at Aria. Some of you hear deception. His gaze moved to the retired judge. Some feel guilt. Then to a young woman standing alone near the fireplace. Some see memories attached to objects. The room went very still. I leaned toward Aria. I feel underqualified. Lucian's smile widened slightly. And some possess the rare ability to quiet those gifts. His eyes returned to me. That was not good. Not even a little. You have all spent your lives believing you were alone, Lucian said. Tonight you will learn the truth. He set down his glass. People like us have existed for centuries. A murmur spread across the room. The young woman near the fireplace stepped forward. Why bring us here? Lucian looked at her. To offer you freedom. Aria stiffened. I whispered, lie. She shook her head. No sound. Dinner was served in a room large enough to host a minor royal coronation. Lucian seated Aria on his right. He placed me halfway down the table. That was intentional. I disliked intentional seating. Maya sat beside me. He separated you, she whispered. I noticed. What should we do? Eat. She stared. What? If we're trapped in a supernatural conspiracy, I'm not facing it hungry. Across the table, the young woman from the fireplace watched me. She had short dark hair and sharp green eyes. You're Ethan Cole. That depends who is asking. Naomi Reed. She extended her hand. I eyed it. Do you do something supernatural when people touch you? Yes. I withdrew my hand immediately. Naomi smiled. Smart. What do you see? Memories attached to objects and people. People are objects. Some more than others. Fair. She nodded toward Aria. Her ability is famous among us. Among who? Listeners. I hated that word. It sounded far too organized. And Lucian. Naomi's smile vanished. Annulled. Meaning. He doesn't just hide lies from listeners. He can suppress abilities completely. I looked toward Aria. Lucian was speaking to her. She sat perfectly still. Too still. What does he want? No one knows. Helpful. Naomi leaned closer. But there's a rumor. There was always a rumor. Bad situations loved rumors. He believes abilities can be transferred. I stopped eating. Across the room, Lucian placed one hand lightly on Aria's wrist. She jerked away. I stood. Every person at the table looked at me. Lucian looked amused. Is something wrong, Mr. Cole? Yes. I walked around the table. Your personality. Several guests inhaled sharply. Aria turned toward me. Warning in her eyes. I ignored it. Lucian remained seated. I was merely demonstrating my ability. Demonstrate it on yourself. He smiled. Aria agreed. I looked at her. She did not speak. That was not agreement. That was calculation. I held out my hand. We're leaving. Lucian studied me. Are you certain that's what she wants? I looked at Aria. Is it? Her eyes shifted between us. Then she stood and took my hand. Yes. Lucian's expression did not change, but something behind his eyes did. Anger, cold and immediate. There is much you still don't understand, he said. Story of my life. You especially, Mr. Cole. I stopped. He leaned back. You believe you are simply immune to her ability. I said nothing. You are. Aria turned toward him. Lucian's gaze settled on me. You are a null too. The room disappeared. Not literally. Emotionally. One moment, I stood under a chandelier surrounded by supernatural strangers. The next, all I could hear was my heartbeat. I'm a what? A null, Lucian repeated. No. Denial is understandable. I'm not denying, I'm correcting. He smiled. The first time Aria heard your lies, they were silent. Because I lie harmlessly. That is what she assumed. Aria's grip tightened around my hand. Lucian continued. But your presence did more than silence your own lies. Over time, it changed her ability. I remembered the rooftop. Aria telling me she had begun hearing truth. My stomach twisted. Lucian saw the realization. There it is. You know nothing about us, Aria said. Lucian looked at her. You hear truth now, don't you? Her face went pale. The guests began whispering. Naomi stood across the room, watching. Lucian turned to the table. Nulls are not empty. They are amplifiers. They interrupt one frequency so another can emerge. I hated when villains explained things elegantly. It made punching them seem intellectually irresponsible. So what, I said, I'm supernatural noise canceling. In crude terms. Great mystery solved, we're leaving. Lucian stood. You don't understand the danger. I understand enough. If your ability grows, you won't simply silence lies. Aria became very still. Lucian stepped closer. You'll silence truth as well. The room seemed colder. What does that mean? I asked. It means people near you may eventually lose the ability to distinguish reality from what they want to believe. I stared at him. That's ridiculous. Is it? Yes. You spent most of your life convincing everyone you were useless. A chill traveled through me. Your parents believed it, your friends believed it, society believed it. He tilted his head. You didn't merely perform a lie, Ethan. You made it comfortable enough for everyone around you to accept. I wanted to dismiss him. Laugh. Make a joke. But Aria's hand had gone cold inside mine. Because some part of her believed him. And some part of me did too. We left Halcyon Estate 15 minutes later. Lucian did not stop us. That worried me more than if he had tried. The drive back to Manhattan was silent. Maya sat in front, pretending not to listen. Aria sat beside me, staring through the window. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. 20. Finally. Say something. She did not look at me. What would you like me to say? Anything. I don't know what to say. I laughed once. Now you know how I feel in every serious conversation. No response. The joke died alone. I looked down at my hands. Do you believe him? I believe he knows more than we do. That isn't what I asked. Aria turned. Her eyes looked exhausted. I don't know. There it was. Not rejection. Worse. Uncertainty. The one thing she had never felt about me. If I'm changing your ability, I said, Maybe we should spend some time apart." Her face tightened. "Is that what you want?" "No." The word came instantly. She watched me. There was no relief in her expression. Only concentration. Listening. For sound. I swallowed. "What did you hear?" "Nothing." "Then I'm telling the truth. Or you silenced it." That hit harder than she intended. I saw regret in her eyes immediately. But the damage was done. For the first time, Aria could not trust the silence around me. The gift that brought us together had become evidence against us. I looked away. "Right. Ethan, I didn't mean, you did." She stopped. Because we both remembered the first time she said those words to me. Back in her office, when I accused her of using me. The symmetry was cruel. The rest of the drive passed in silence. Not the good kind. I moved back into my apartment. Not permanently. That was what I told myself. I just needed space. Space was healthy. Space was mature. Space was what people called running away after they bought furniture. Aria did not call. Neither did I. For 4 days, we communicated only through Maya. This was deeply unfair to Maya, who began every message with, "I do not get paid enough for this." On the 5th day, Naomi Reed knocked on my door. I opened it but did not let her in. "How did you get my address?" "You gave Lucian's staff your contact information." "I gave them a fake address." "This is the fake address." I stared. Right. I had moved into the same apartment I once used as my false residence for avoiding social invitations. Past laziness had betrayed present laziness. "What do you want?" "To test you." "No. It may help Aria." I opened the door farther. "You should have started with that." Naomi entered carrying a leather case. She set it on the table and opened it. Inside were 5 objects. A silver watch. A child's toy car. A broken pair of glasses. A wedding ring. A blood-stained handkerchief. I pointed at the last item. "Absolutely not. They're memory anchors." "What does that mean?" "When I touch them, I see emotional memories left by their owners." "And how does this test me?" "You stand near me while I do it." I looked at the objects, then at her. "If something possesses me, I'm sending you the cleaning bill." She picked up the toy car. Her eyes closed. Her breathing changed. "What do you see?" "A boy, 7 years old. His father gave him this before leaving for military service." She set it down. Her eyes opened. Clear memory. She reached for the wedding ring. A woman standing in the rain. Her husband is leaving. She knows he won't return. Her voice shook. She dropped the ring. The object rolled across the table. "That was unpleasant," I said. "That's the job." She picked up the watch. Then looked at me. "Come closer." I stepped beside her. Naomi touched the watch. Nothing happened. Her eyes remained open. She frowned. "What?" "I can't see anything." She tried again. Still nothing. I stepped back. Her body jerked. Images seemed to hit her all at once. She gasped and dropped the watch. I stared. "You silenced it," she whispered. My hands went cold. "I didn't do anything." "That's what makes you dangerous." My father arrived an hour after Naomi left. I had not called him. Parents had a supernatural ability of their own. They sensed emotional disaster and arrived carrying food. He set a paper bag on my counter. Your mother says you're having a crisis. I'm always having a crisis. She said this one involves feelings. Then she exaggerated. He looked around. Where's Aria? Not here. I noticed. He unpacked sandwiches. We ate in silence. Then he said, "Are you going to tell me?" No. Good talk. He continued eating. That was the unfair thing about my father. He had recently learned patience. I lasted 3 minutes. I might have supernatural powers. He nodded. Your mother suspected. I stared. What? She said no ordinary person could remain that committed to avoiding responsibility. This family is a prison. He smiled. I explained everything. Aria's ability. Lucian. The nulls. Naomi's test. The possibility that I could influence what people believed. My father listened. No interruption. No disbelief. When I finished, he wiped his hands and leaned back. Do you think you made me believe you were useless? The question cut directly through me. I don't know. I do. I looked at him. No. His voice was steady. You made the performance easy to accept, but I accepted it because it protected me too. From what? From admitting I didn't understand my son. The room went quiet. He continued. If you were lazy, I could blame you. If you were afraid, then I had to ask why. I looked down. That isn't exactly comforting. It isn't meant to be. He leaned forward. Whatever this ability is, it didn't create every failure around you. People make choices, Ethan, even under influence. What if Aria only loves me because I made her believe she does? My father considered that. Then said, does that sound like Aria? Despite everything, I laughed. No. Then stop insulting her judgment to protect yourself from losing her. Well, that was aggressively reasonable. I hated it. That evening, I went to Aria's apartment. She opened the door before I knocked, meaning she had been watching for me. Neither of us mentioned it. I tested the ability, I said. Her expression sharpened. With whom? Naomi. Aria's eyes turned arctic. Interesting. Why was Naomi in your apartment? Despite impending supernatural danger, jealousy was alive and well. She touched a few emotionally haunted objects, very romantic. Aria stepped aside to let me in. I explained the test. She listened carefully. When I finished, she said, Lucian was telling the truth about your ability. Probably, but not necessarily about the danger. That's what I thought. On the table sat several folders. Research, historical records, medical reports. Aria had apparently spent our separation doing what she did best, turning emotional pain into administrative warfare. I found the doctor, she said. The one who disappeared. He didn't disappear. Lucian imprisoned him inside a private medical facility under a false identity. I stared. That feels illegal. Yes. Can we call the police? Lucian owns the company, providing the facility's security. Of course he does. Aria handed me a photograph. An older man sat in a wheelchair near a window. Dr. Samuel Voss, the specialist who examined Aria as a child. He may know what nulls actually are, she said. And you have a plan. Yes. Is it illegal? Moderately. Dangerous? Probably. Does it involve a basement? She hesitated. I groaned. I had one rule. The medical facility sat in rural Connecticut behind fences and carefully maintained trees. Officially, it treated wealthy patients requiring privacy. Unofficially, it appeared to be where Lucian stored inconvenient people. Maya disabled the digital security. I did not ask how. Aria bribed a night supervisor. I did not ask how much. My task was simple. Walk beside Aria and look harmless. Finally, a role aligned with my professional experience. We reached the restricted wing just after midnight. A guard blocked the corridor. This area is closed. Aria stepped forward. We have authorization. The guard examined her paperwork. I watched his face. Suspicion. Then confusion. Then acceptance. Too fast. He handed back the documents. Room 317. We walked away. Once we turned the corner, Aria stopped. That authorization was fake. Yes. He believed it. Yes. She looked at me. I didn't consciously do anything. That doesn't mean you didn't. The fear in her eyes returned. Not fear of me. Fear for me. That distinction mattered. We found Dr. Voss awake. He was thinner than in his photograph, with silver hair and alert eyes. When he saw Aria, he began to cry. Little Ariadne. Aria froze. No one called her that. Not even me. She crossed the room slowly. You remember me. I never forgot. He looked at me. His expression changed. Annulled. I sighed. Apparently. Dr. Voss shook his head. No, not merely a null. He reached for my hand. Aria stopped him. What is he? The doctor studied me. A counterweight. Lucian's explanation was apparently incomplete. Shocking. What does that mean? I asked. Dr. Voss looked at Aria. Listeners hear deception because they are pulled toward falsehood. Memory readers are pulled toward the past. Empaths are pulled toward emotion. Every gift creates imbalance. He pointed at me. Counterweights restore balance. So I don't erase truth. No. I exhaled. Aria's shoulders lowered. Dr. Voss continued. You erase compulsion. I frowned. What compulsion? The supernatural force that drags gifted people into what they perceive. Near you, a listener may choose whether to hear. A memory reader may choose whether to see. Aria stared. So he didn't change my ability. He gave you control over it. The truth settled slowly. I had not made her love me. I had not manipulated her. I had not rewritten her mind. I had given her something she had never possessed. Joyce. Aria looked at me. Her eyes filled with relief. Mine probably did too, but I planned to deny that forever. Then the facility alarm sounded. Red lights flashed. A voice came through the speakers. Aria, Ethan, I'm disappointed. Lucian. Of course. Villains loved intercom systems. Security doors slammed shut. Aria moved toward Dr. Voss. We're getting you out. The doctor gripped her wrist. Lucian wants Ethan. I gathered that, I said. He cannot control his gift. What gift? Dr. Voss looked toward the speaker. He doesn't silence abilities. Footsteps echoed beyond the locked door. He steals control from the people who possess them. The door opened. Lucian entered with 4 guards. No dramatic weapon. No anger. Just that calm, polished smile. Thank you for finding Dr. Voss, he said. I stepped between him and Aria. You knew we would come. I hoped. Aria's voice turned cold. You lied at Halcyon. Yes. She flinched. A sharp reaction. For the first time she heard him. Lucian's smile vanished. He looked at me. You're suppressing me. I'm standing here. That is enough. The guards advanced. Aria did something unexpected. She closed her eyes, then opened them again. Her expression changed. I can hear them. The guard stopped. She pointed to the first. You're afraid of him. The man's face tightened. To the second. He threatened your family. The guard lowered his weapon slightly. To the third. You don't believe he'll let any of you leave. Lucian's composure cracked. Enough. Aria looked directly at him. His lie was no longer silent. His control was breaking. He promised you freedom, she told the guards. He has no intention of giving it. One guard stepped back. Then another. Lucian lunged toward me. The moment his hand touched my shoulder, the world tilted. Images struck me. Not mine. Hundreds of them. People screaming. People kneeling. Gifted strangers losing control. Lucian standing among them, absorbing their fear. His ability was not silence. It was domination. And underneath all that power was a terrified child who had once been overwhelmed by everyone else's gifts. He had built an empire to ensure no one could ever overpower him again. I grabbed his wrist. You're afraid. His eyes widened. Aria stepped beside me. She heard the answer before he spoke. The lie screamed through the room. No. Lucian collapsed. Not physically unconscious. Emotionally. The guards restrained him. The alarm continued blaring. Dr. Voss began laughing quietly. What? I asked. He smiled at Aria. Then at me. A listener and a counterweight. That sounds bad, I said. It's rare. Rare usually means bad. It means powerful. Aria took my hand. No, she said. Her voice was calm. It means balanced. Lucian Cross was arrested 3 days later. Kidnapping. Fraud. Illegal detention. Medical abuse. Conspiracy. His lawyers described the evidence as fabricated. Aria described his lawyers as loud. The gifted people at Halcyon scattered. Some wanted privacy. Some wanted answers. Naomi created a quiet network for those who needed help controlling their abilities. Dr. Voss became its advisor. Maya became its administrator, because apparently one impossible job was not enough for her. And me. I returned to my apartment. Then Aria arrived carrying 2 suitcases. I stared at them. What is this? My belongings. I recognize the concept. Why are they here? You gave me a key. That was symbolic. No, it was metal. I looked behind her. Maya stood near the elevator with 4 more bags. You said 2 suitcases, I said. Aria glanced back. I underestimated. You own an apartment 3 times the size of this one. Yes. With better security. Yes. And a view. Yes. She stepped closer. But you're here. Dangerous. Very dangerous. I looked at Maya. Help me. She pushed the bags inside. No. Traitor. Aria set her key on the counter. I don't have to stay. There was no challenge in her voice. No command. She meant it. The decision was mine. That was the difference now. Joyce. I looked around my apartment. My repaired record player. My uneven bookshelves. 2 coffee cups in the sink, because she had used one the last time she visited. The giant stuffed duck from our second date sitting in the corner. I sighed. Your side of the closet is the left. Her eyes brightened. Only the left. We'll negotiate. That means I'll win. Probably. She smiled and wrapped her arms around me. I held her. No static. No silence. No supernatural test. Just trust. Then Maya dragged another suitcase through the door. I looked at Aria. You said 4 more bags. Aria avoided my eyes. I pointed at her. Lie. She smiled against my shoulder. Possibly. Epilogue, the truth we choose 1 year later. We return to Solstice Rooftop. Again. Apparently, important emotional events only happened at one restaurant in Manhattan. Aria sat across from me, wearing dark blue. I wore a suit voluntarily. Growth remained horrifying. I placed a velvet box on the table. She looked at it. Then at me. Another key. No. A tracking device. Do you want it to be? No. Good. I opened the box. This time there was a ring. Aria stopped breathing. I had rehearsed a speech. It was thoughtful, emotional, possibly life-changing. I forgot every word. Naturally. So I told the truth. You were the first person who saw through everything I pretended to be. Her eyes shimmered. You heard my lies, my fear, and eventually my truth. I took her hand. You never needed me to silence the world. You just needed someone who would stay while you listened. A tear slipped down her cheek. She allowed it. Progress. I don't know what our life will look like, I continued. There may be more impossible people, more secret organizations, more galas. She laughed softly. But if you want, we can face all of it together. I swallowed. Aria Vale, would you marry me? The restaurant disappeared into silence. She looked at me for what felt like a century. Then she said no. My heart stopped. She smiled. Lie. I stared at her. That was cruel. Yes. You're a terrifying woman. Yes. Is there another answer you would like to provide? She stood, walked around the table, and held out her hand. Yes. I slipped the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Naturally. She had probably known the exact size for months. I stood. She wrapped her arms around me. The guests began applauding. I did not care. Aria leaned close and whispered, I love you. I smiled. No sound. She touched her forehead to mine. Your turn. I looked directly into the eyes of the woman who had taught me the difference between hiding and choosing. I love you too. She listened. Not because she doubted me, because hearing the truth had become something beautiful. Her smile answered before her voice did. No sound. And that was how the woman who heard every lie married the man who gave her the freedom not to listen. Not because we never lied again. We did. About stolen blankets. About forgotten appointments. About who finished the expensive coffee. But the important truths remained. We chose each other. We stayed. And whenever the world became too loud, neither of us searched for silence. We simply reached for the other. Our wedding had one rule. No supernatural disasters. It was a reasonable rule. A simple rule. The sort of rule any mature adult could follow for 6 hours. Unfortunately, we knew too many extraordinary people. Naomi is arguing with the florist, Maya said. I stood in front of a mirror while my father attempted to repair my tie. Why? She touched one of the centerpieces and saw the florist hiding something. What? Several undeclared business expenses and an affair with the caterer. I closed my eyes. Our wedding flowers uncovered financial misconduct. Yes. Before the ceremony. Yes. Efficient. My father pulled the tie tighter. I choked. Are you trying to marry me or execute me? Stand still. This is why I avoided formal wear for 27 years. My father stepped back and inspected me. He was wearing a dark suit, silver tie, and the expression of a man determined not to become emotional. He was failing. The ceremony was taking place at a private estate outside Manhattan. Aria had rejected every hotel ballroom, museum, and rooftop venue suggested by the planners. She claimed she wanted privacy. I suspected she simply wanted fewer exits for me to use. 200 guests waited outside. Family, friends, business leaders, several people with supernatural abilities who had promised not to use them during the ceremony unless someone caught fire. Dr. Voss was seated in the front row. Naomi had been forbidden from touching the wedding rings until after the ceremony. Maya carried 3 phones, 2 tablets, and enough anxiety to power a small city. Everything was ready, which meant something was definitely wrong. My father adjusted my jacket. You look nervous. I'm not. He waited. I sighed. Fine, I'm terrified. That's normal. Is it normal to consider escaping through a bathroom window? You're on the 2nd floor. I've survived worse. He placed one hand on my shoulder. The humor left his face. You aren't afraid of marrying Aria. No. You're afraid of becoming responsible for something precious. I stared at him. When did you become emotionally intelligent? Your mother made me attend therapy. That explains it. His hand tightened slightly. You'll make mistakes. Comforting. She will too. Less believable. You'll disappoint each other, argue, and occasionally wonder whether you've made a terrible decision. Are you trying to stop this wedding? No. He smiled. I'm telling you that staying is a decision you'll make more than once. The doors opened behind us. Maya appeared. She looked pale. Not wedding stress pale. Something is wrong pale. My stomach sank. What happened? She closed the door. There's a woman downstairs claiming she knows Aria. Aria knows many women. She says she's Aria's sister. Silence. I looked at my father. He looked at Maya. Maya looked at me. Aria doesn't have a sister, I said. Maya swallowed. That's what Aria said. The woman waited in a private sitting room. She appeared to be in her early 30s, perhaps a few years older than Aria. Dark hair, gray eyes. Elegant posture. The resemblance was not obvious at first. Then she looked at me. There it was. The same stillness. The same way Aria could make a room feel like it had been ordered to behave. The stranger wore a simple silver dress and no jewelry. She had passed through security using an authentic invitation issued in Aria's mother's name. The problem was that Aria's mother had never sent it. Aria stood near the window, already wearing her wedding dress. For one dangerous moment, every thought in my head vanished. She looked incredible. White silk, clean lines, no unnecessary sparkle. Her hair swept back from her face. Elegant. Powerful. Mine if I survived the next hour. Her eyes found mine. Ethan. That was all she said. But I heard everything underneath it. Confusion. Fear. Relief that I was there. I crossed the room and took her hand. Then I looked at the stranger. She says her name is Celeste Vale, Maya explained. The woman's gaze remained fixed on Aria. That was my name once. Aria's expression was glacial. I don't have a sister. You did. No. I was 10 when you were born. Aria's fingers tightened around mine. Lie. I looked at her. She gave the smallest shake of her head. No sound. The woman was telling the truth. Or she believed she was. After our experience with Lucian, that distinction mattered. Celeste reached into her purse slowly. Security moved closer. She removed an old photograph and placed it on the table. Aria did not touch it. Neither did I. Naomi entered behind us. Her eyes moved to the photograph. May I? Aria nodded. Naomi picked it up. Her body went rigid. Then her eyes closed. What do you see? I asked. A child's birthday. Her voice sounded distant. 2 girls, one is about 11, the other is a baby. Aria stopped breathing. Naomi continued. The older girl is holding the baby. Their mother is beside them. She opened her eyes, then looked at Aria. It's real. Aria stared at Celeste. If you were part of my family, why don't I remember you? Celeste's expression broke. For the first time, she looked less like Aria and more like someone grieving. Because I made them forget me. The room went silent. I glanced at the wedding clock on the wall. The ceremony was supposed to begin in 12 minutes. Of course, supernatural family trauma had excellent timing. We postponed the wedding. Not canceled. Postponed. I made that distinction very clear to my mother, who had already threatened to imprison every guest inside the venue until the ceremony resumed. Aria changed out of her wedding dress and into a black suit. That was how I knew romance had officially become warfare. Celeste sat across from us in the estate's private library. Dr. Voss and Naomi joined us. Maya doubled security and confiscated Celeste's phone. My parents attempted to manage the guests by telling them there was a minor scheduling issue. That was a lie. Aria heard it from 2 rooms away. Apparently, lies carried farther when spoken by mothers under pressure. Celeste folded her hands. My ability appeared when I was 6. Dr. Voss studied her. What can you do? I can alter the relationship between memory and belief. I leaned toward Aria. That sounds deliberately confusing. Celeste heard me. It means I can change what a memory means to someone. Naomi frowned. You can erase memories. No, erased memories leave holes. Holes attract attention. Celeste looked at Aria. I can make a person remember something, but believe it happened differently. A chill ran through me. Dr. Voss leaned forward. Give us an example. Celeste considered. If someone remembers standing in the rain, I can make them believe they were waiting for a friend rather than escaping an enemy. So the image remains, I said, but the story changes. Yes. And people accept the new story. They defend it. That was terrifying. Not flashy. Not dramatic. Much worse. People fought hardest for stories they believed they had chosen themselves. Aria's eyes remained fixed on Celeste. Why did you make our family forget you? Celeste looked away. Because our father asked me to. Aria's face turned white. My father is dead. No. The word landed quietly. No sound. No lie. Celeste continued. He is alive. Aria stood so quickly that her chair struck the floor. I caught her wrist. Not to restrain her. To remind her I was there. You watched him die, Celeste said. You remember the hospital room, the monitors, and our mother crying. Aria's breathing sharpened. Yes. Those memories are real. Then how is he alive? The man who died was not our father. I felt the room tilt. Celeste's eyes filled with pain. I changed what you believed about him. Aria left the library. I followed. Obviously. She moved through the hallway so quickly that two staff members flattened themselves against the wall. She entered an empty bedroom and closed the door behind us. Then she stood with her back to me. Perfect posture. Perfect control. Hands trembling. Not perfect. I did not speak. One of the first things I had learned about Aria was that silence could be a gift when it was chosen. Finally, she said, I remember him dying. I know. I held his hand. I know. I heard my mother tell the doctors to stop. Her voice cracked. I came closer. The memory is real, she whispered, but the meaning may not be. I reached for her. She stepped into my arms before I touched her. That frightened me more than if she had pushed me away. Aria did not move first when she was breaking. Usually, she froze until I found her. Now she held on like the floor had disappeared. What if none of my memories are mine? They're yours. You don't know that. No, I admitted, but I know you. She pulled back enough to look at me. Do you? There was no accusation in the question. Only fear. I hated that fear. Not her fear of Celeste. Her fear that I might hesitate. So I did not. Yes. Her eyes searched mine. I continued. You hate alcohol. You pretend not to enjoy terrible animal videos, but you save them to a private folder. I don't. Lie. Despite everything, her mouth moved slightly. You reorganize my kitchen when you're stressed. You sleep on the right side of the bed but steal the left pillow. You say you dislike street food, yet you remember exactly which stall sold the lamb wraps. That proves nothing. You still have the giant duck. Her face softened. You protect people before deciding whether they deserve it. You hear lies, but the lies that hurt you most are the frightened ones. And every time you feel love, you treat it like a contract you need to earn. Her eyes filled. That, I said, is you. No altered funeral changes it. She rested her forehead against mine. What if Celeste can change how you see me? She'll have to outrun me first. That isn't reassuring. I'm not good at reassuring. I'm good at aggressive loyalty. A shaky laugh escaped her. Good. I could work with a laugh. Then someone knocked. Maya's voice came through the door. I'm sorry, but Celeste says we need to leave. For where? I called. A pause. Then Maya answered. To see Aria's father. Aria's father lived on a private island off the coast of Maine. Because, apparently, ordinary retirement communities were unavailable to supernatural fugitives. We flew there the next morning. The wedding guests went home with expensive gift bags, confused apologies, and enough gossip to fuel Manhattan for a year. My mother hugged Aria before we left. Then she pointed at me. Bring her back. I was planning to. Bring yourself back too. I stared at her. Was that affection? Don't make this difficult. The flight took less than 2 hours. It felt like 12. Celeste sat across the cabin from us. No guards. No restraints. Aria's decision. If she wanted to alter us, she would have tried already, Aria said. Celeste looked at her. You trust me? No. There was no cruelty in the answer. Just fact. Celeste nodded as though she deserved it. Naomi came with us. So did Dr. Voss and Maya. My father offered to come. I told him supernatural family reunions were too dangerous. He said marriage meant Aria's supernatural family was now my supernatural family. I said technically we had not completed the ceremony. He called me a coward. He was not entirely wrong. The island appeared through gray fog. Rocky cliffs. Dense pines. A single large house near the shore. No visible roads. No neighboring buildings. No convenient escape. I turned to Celeste. You couldn't have hidden him somewhere with restaurants. He wanted isolation. Isolation is overrated. Delivery access is essential. The boat carrying us from the airstrip reached a private dock. A man waited at the end. Tall, silver-haired, older than the photographs I had seen in Aria's apartment. But unmistakable. Sebastian Vale, Aria's father, the man whose funeral had shaped half her life. Aria stepped off the boat. He looked at her. All the color left his face. Ariadne. She stopped. He took one step forward. She took one step back. Good. I did not want to throw an elderly man into the ocean before lunch. But I would. Sebastian looked at me. You must be Ethan. That depends. His expression softened. She talks about you. Aria turned toward Celeste. You told him about Ethan. Yes. Something about that bothered me. Celeste had been watching us before she arrived. How long? And why? Sebastian looked at Aria again. I'm sorry. Her face hardened. The lie struck her. She flinched. I saw it. So did Celeste. The apology was false. Or incomplete. Aria's voice became ice. No, you're not. Sebastian's expression changed. Not guilt. Calculation. The fragile reunion vanished. And I realized we had not come to rescue a loving father from hiding. We had walked directly into the home of the man who taught Celeste how to rewrite a family. Sebastian led us inside. The house was warm, elegant, and full of books. No family photographs. No personal objects. Nothing Naomi could touch and read easily. That was not decoration. That was defense. Sebastian poured tea. No one drank it. My mysterious drink rule remained in effect. I left to protect you, he told Aria. Static. Aria's jaw tightened. You left to protect yourself. Sebastian smiled faintly. You always were perceptive. Do not speak to me as though you know me. I do know you. Lie. Pain crossed her face. My hands curled. Sebastian noticed. Your ability has become stronger. Because of Ethan. His eyes moved to me. A counterweight. Unfortunately, you don't understand what you are. I hear that a lot from terrible people. Dr. Voss stepped forward. You used Celeste. Sebastian's warmth disappeared. I trained her. You forced a child to alter her mother's memories. I prevented panic. Celeste stood near the doorway, pale and silent. Sebastian continued, as if discussing a business decision. When Aria's ability emerged, she was dangerous. She accused everyone around her of dishonesty. Teachers, relatives, physicians. She was 8, Celeste whispered. She was uncontrollable. Aria went completely still. I knew that stillness. It was not weakness. It was rage being compressed into something sharp. Sebastian looked at her. I established the listener network to study people like you. Dr. Voss's face twisted. You funded our research because you wanted control. I funded it because abilities without governance are weapons. And you appointed yourself governor, I asked. Someone had to. There it was. The philosophy that had built every dictator, terrible boss, and homeowners association. Someone had to. Sebastian walked toward a locked cabinet. He opened it with a key from his pocket. Inside were dozens of files. Photographs. Medical records. Handwritten reports. Aria's name appeared on one of them. Celeste S. on another. Naomi S. too. And mine. I stepped closer. How do you have a file on me? Sebastian removed it. You were observed from childhood. My skin turned cold. You knew. We suspected. What did you do? Nothing invasive. Aria recoiled. Huge lie. The sound must have been unbearable. I took the file. Sebastian did not stop me. Inside were school reports, medical notes, photographs, and private observations. Age 8, unusually effective at calming distressed classmates. Age 11, teacher reports increased suggestibility during subject's presence. Age 16, family expectations lowered despite strong aptitude measures. Age 22, subject develops persistent incompetence persona. I read the final sentence twice. Counterweight effect may extend beyond gifted individuals. Long-term exposure could reshape collective belief. My mouth went dry. You studied me. We studied your influence. You let me believe I was broken. No, Sebastian said, you chose that belief. Lie. Loud enough that Aria covered one ear. I looked at her. She whispered, he interfered. Sebastian's expression remained calm. But Celeste began to cry. And I understood. I turned toward her. What did you do to me? Celeste could not look at me. I visited your family when you were 12. I stared. No. Yes. I would remember you. That was the assignment. The room became too small. She continued, words trembling. You were beginning to affect people. Teachers who once challenged you suddenly stopped. Your parents lowered their expectations. Your friends accepted whatever version of yourself you presented. So you changed my memory. I changed the meaning. Images surfaced. A summer afternoon. My father's office. A dark-haired young woman speaking gently to me. I had always remembered her as a temporary tutor. A tutor who told me intelligence was exhausting. A tutor who suggested people like me more when I did not try too hard. A tutor who said failure hurt less when no one expected success. My knees weakened. Aria moved beside me. I felt her hand at my back. Celeste's voice broke. I told myself I was helping you control the counterweight effect. By teaching me to believe I was useless. By encouraging a stable identity other people could accept. My laugh came out hollow. A stable identity. I was 19. I believed our father. You made me waste half my life. I know. You don't know. The room distorted around the edges. Anger, grief, humiliation, every self-deprecating joke, every opportunity I abandoned, every time I saw disappointment in my father's eyes and pretended it pleased me. How much had been mine? How much had been planted? Aria took my face between her hands. Ethan. I looked at her. Not Celeste. Not Sebastian. Sir. Stay with me, she said. I don't know what's real. Yes, you do. How? Because you chose differently once you were given the chance. Her words cut through the noise. You chose to come to my office. You chose to stay when I asked. You chose to expose Victor. You chose to help Dr. Voss. I could barely breathe. Aria held my gaze. You chose me. A silence appeared inside the panic. Small. Steady. Mine. I turned toward Sebastian. He watched us without emotion. That was when I understood the purpose of the island. The files. The invitation. The reunion. You wanted us here. Yes. Finally a truth. Why? Sebastian looked at Celeste. Then Aria. Then me. Because the network is collapsing. Sebastian led us below the house. Basement. Of course. I had one rule. No one respected it. Behind a steel door was a control room filled with monitors. Maps displayed across the walls. Photographs of gifted individuals. Red marks appeared across North America, Europe, and Asia. What is this? Maya asked. The remaining listener network, Sebastian said. I thought Lucian controlled it, Aria replied. Lucian controlled one branch. After his arrest, others began fighting for power. He brought up a photograph. A woman in her 40s with pale blonde hair and a calm smile. Elena Ward. Dr. Voss inhaled sharply. She's alive. You know her? I asked. She was one of the earliest subjects in our program. Sebastian changed the display. Security footage showed the woman entering a building in Geneva. Every person who passed her stopped, turned, then followed. What can she do? Sebastian looked at Aria. She steals certainty. That sounded impossible, which meant it was probably Tuesday. She does not erase memories, he continued. She removes a person's confidence that those memories are true. Celeste stared at the screen. Then she replaces the uncertainty with her own narrative, Sebastian said. Aria's expression darkened. She does what Celeste does. No, Celeste whispered. I redirect meaning. Elena destroys the foundation beneath it. Sebastian displayed reports. A scientist who forgot whether his research had been falsified. A judge who no longer trusted her memory of a confession. A government official who became convinced his closest advisors were imposters. She infected the network first, Sebastian said. No one knows whom to trust. Now she is moving into governments and financial institutions. Maya stared at the maps. Why? To create a world without objective truth. I shook my head. That sounds exhausting. Sebastian looked at me. She believes certainty is the source of oppression, and her solution is controlling what everyone believes. Fanatics are rarely troubled by irony. Aria studied the reports. What does this have to do with us? Elena cannot influence a counterweight. Everyone looked at me. I sighed. Of course she can't. Sebastian continued. But neither can she easily influence someone anchored to one. Aria's hand closed around mine. So you need Ethan. I need both of you. No, I said. Sebastian ignored me. Elena's next target is the Global Security Forum in Montreal. 42 national representatives will attend. Then warn them. We have. And they no longer believe us. That was the problem with stolen certainty. Warnings became opinions. Evidence became interpretation. Truth became whatever frightened people least. Sebastian looked at me. You may be the only person capable of standing near Elena without losing yourself. I smiled without humor. I spent most of my life losing myself because of your family. Celeste lowered her head. Sebastian did not react. I understand your anger. No, you don't. Nevertheless, thousands of lives may depend on you. There it was. Responsibility. The thing I had spent my entire life avoiding. Now delivered by the man partly responsible for that avoidance. I wanted to say no. I wanted to leave the island, restart the wedding, and never hear another supernatural explanation. Aria looked at me. Not pressuring. Not expecting. Waiting. Choice. Always choice. I exhaled. I hate this family. Aria's mouth moved faintly. That isn't an answer. Yes, it is. The Global Security Forum began 48 hours later. We entered the conference center under identities supplied by Sebastian. Mine described me as a strategic perception consultant. Technically accurate. Emotionally offensive. Aria attended under her real name. The organizers trusted her public reputation more than Sebastian's secret network. Maya coordinated from a security room. Naomi carried objects recovered from Elena's previous targets, hoping their memories would reveal her plan. Celeste came despite Aria's objections. I know how Elena's ability works, she said. You also rewrote Ethan's childhood, Aria replied. Celeste absorbed the blow. Yes. Aria's expression did not soften. But she allowed her to come. That was not forgiveness. It was strategy. The conference center swarmed with security, diplomats, and polished professionals telling one another how delighted they were to collaborate. Aria's face tightened continuously. Loud, I asked. Unbearable. Stay close. She looked at me. I was planning to. That helped more than it should have. We reached the main hall. Hundreds of delegates filled rows of seats. Elena Ward stood on stage. She had not infiltrated the event as a guest. She was the keynote speaker. I stared at the program. Dr. Elena Ward, restoring trust in an age of disinformation. That's almost funny, I whispered. No, Aria said, it is. Elena began speaking. Her voice was calm, intelligent, reassuring. Truth has become a weapon, she said. Every institution claims to possess it. Every leader uses it to demand obedience. The audience listened. Not unnaturally at first. Then the room changed. People leaned forward. Security guards lowered their vigilance. Delegates exchanged uncertain glances. Elena continued. What if the memories dividing us are unreliable? What if our conflicts survive only because we insist our version of the past is correct? Aria gripped my hand. She's doing it now. On the other side of the hall, a diplomat removed his translation earpiece and stared at it as though he no longer understood why he wore it. A security officer looked at his identification badge, confused. A woman in the front row began crying. Elena smiled. You do not have to remain prisoners of what you think you know. The audience relaxed. That was the terrifying part. They looked relieved. Truth was heavy. Elena was offering to carry it for them. Then she looked directly at me. Across hundreds of people. She knew exactly where I was. "Mr. Cole," she said into the microphone. Every head turned. I closed my eyes briefly. I miss being useless. Aria stood with me. Elena's smile widened. "Come to the stage." I looked at Aria. "Any ideas?" "Yes." "Good ones?" "No." "Consistent." We walked forward together. Elena waited beneath the stage lights. Up close she looked kind. That made her more frightening. Cruel people wanted you to know they could hurt you. Kind-looking people wanted you to participate. "Ethan Cole," she said. "Unfortunately." And Aria Vale. Aria's expression did not change. Elena looked between us. The listener and the counterweight, a moving love story. "Thank you," I said. "The wedding was better before supernatural interference." Aria glanced at me. "Was it?" "It was going to be." Elena smiled. The audience watched. Cameras streamed the event worldwide. "Wonderful." Another public disaster. Elena addressed me. "Do you know why you love her?" "Yes." "Are you certain?" The air shifted. I felt pressure against my mind. Not pain. Doubt. Images appeared. Aria at our first date. Aria choosing me because my lies were quiet. Aria calling me to her office. Aria needing my ability. A new story formed around those memories. She never loved you. She loved what you did for her. My breathing stopped. The idea felt reasonable. Too reasonable. Beside me, Aria spoke. "Ethan." I looked at her. Her face blurred for a moment beneath the weight of uncertainty. "Tell me something true," she said. I swallowed. "You hate cilantro." Her eyebrows drew together. "What?" "You hate cilantro, but you pretend you're neutral because you think strong food opinions are undignified." The pressure weakened slightly. "You sleep with the window open even in winter." Elena's smile faded. "You read the last page of mystery novels first." "I do not." "Lie." The audience murmured. I stepped closer to Aria. "You kept the first handkerchief you gave me at the night market because I returned it after having it professionally cleaned." Her eyes shimmered. "You hated the cleaning solution. It smelled terrible. But you kept it." "Yes." The pressure broke. Not because the memories proved love. Because they were ours. Small truths. Unimportant to history. Impossible for Elena to replace, because their meaning had been chosen repeatedly. Elena looked at Aria. "Your turn." Aria's face tightened. The attack shifted to her. I felt her hand go cold. Elena spoke gently. "Are you certain Ethan chose you freely?" Aria flinched. Perhaps his ability anchored him to the first person who truly needed him. The doubt made sense. That was its power. What if his love is only another function of what he is? Aria looked at me. For one painful second, I saw uncertainty. Then she inhaled. "Ethan hates brunch before 11. I blinked. "Correct." He owns 7 nearly identical black t-shirts and insists they are different. They have different emotional uses. He cries at films about animals and blames allergies. That happened once. 4 times. The audience had no idea what was occurring. Good. Neither did I. Aria stepped closer. He leaves cabinet doors open. He repairs objects instead of replacing them. He pretends to dislike responsibility, then remembers the exact coffee order of every person who works for me. I felt something in my chest crack open. He came to my office when he had every reason to stay away, she continued. He remained before he knew what he was. He chose me before either of us understood his ability. Elena's composure slipped. Aria looked directly at her. You can make me doubt my memories. Her voice sharpened. But love is not one memory. She took my hand. It is a pattern of choices. The room changed. Elena's influence weakened. Delegates blinked as though waking from sleep. Security officers looked around in confusion. On the screen behind us, Maya replaced Elena's presentation with documents. Medical records, network files, testimonies, evidence. Elena turned. What have you done? Maya's voice came through the sound system. Restored context. I smiled. Maya was terrifying. Elena tried to speak again. Aria interrupted. You tell people certainty is oppression. A lie screamed through the hall. Aria did not flinch. I was beside her. She pointed at Elena. But you are terrified of any truth you cannot control. The sound struck Elena instead. Her own lie. Her own fear. For the first time, the woman who stole certainty doubted herself. Security moved toward the stage. Elena backed away. No. Aria's voice remained calm. Yes. Elena did not surrender. People like her rarely did. As security approached, she turned toward the audience and screamed, They are lying to you. The command struck the room. Confusion exploded. Delegates shouted. Security teams drew weapons. No one knew which orders were real. Elena ran toward a side exit. Celeste intercepted her. They faced one another near the stairs. Two women who could reshape the stories inside human minds. Elena smiled. Your father taught you to hide. Celeste went pale. He taught you to obey. That's not true. It is the only truth you have ever known. Celeste froze. Elena reached for her. I started forward. Dr. Voss grabbed my arm. Wait. Celeste closed her eyes. Elena touched her forehead. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Celeste began to shake. Memories were being stripped of certainty. Her childhood. Her family. Her guilt. Every choice she had ever made. Elena whispered, You did not hurt Ethan. He was always weak. Celeste's eyes opened. She looked at me. A new belief began forming behind them. One that would release her guilt. One that would make Sebastian responsible for everything. One that would turn her into another victim with no choices of her own. It would have been easier. Celeste looked at me. Then at Aria. No, she whispered. Elena frowned. Celeste's voice strengthened. I hurt him. The words cost her. I saw it. I was manipulated, she continued. I was young, I was afraid. Tears ran down her face. But I still did it. Elena recoiled. Celeste held onto the truth Elena could not comprehend. Responsibility without self-destruction. Guilt without surrender. I cannot repair his childhood, Celeste said, but I will not steal my guilt to make myself comfortable. Her ability surged. Not outward. Inward. She rewrote nothing. Instead, she locked the meaning of her own memories in place. Elena screamed. The connection broke. Security tackled her before she reached the exit. The room slowly settled. Celeste collapsed. Aria reached her first. She caught her sister before she struck the floor. For a moment, they stared at one another. Years of stolen family history stood between them. Aria did not forgive her. Not then. But she held her. Sometimes that was how forgiveness began. Not as absolution. As the refusal to let someone fall alone. Sebastian disappeared before we returned to the island. Of course he did. His files were gone. His equipment destroyed. The house remained empty and silent. He left one message for Aria. You will understand eventually. Truth without control creates chaos. Aria read it once. Then deleted it. Was that wise? I asked. I memorized it. Of course you did. Authorities searched for him. The network searched too. No one found him. He became a shadow at the edge of our lives. A future problem. I hated future problems. They ruined calendars. Celeste remained in Montreal for treatment. Not medical treatment alone. Accountability. She volunteered every record she possessed and identified dozens of people whose memories she had altered under Sebastian's direction. Some wanted their original beliefs restored. Some refused. That surprised me. Dr. Voss explained it. Truth can destroy a life as easily as a lie. So what do we do? Offer choice. That word again. The center of everything. Aria visited Celeste every week. Sometimes they spoke for hours. Sometimes they sat in silence. Neither called the other sister at first. Then one evening, Aria returned from Montreal carrying the old birthday photograph. She placed it on our shelf beside the giant stuffed duck. I looked at it. Then at her. You kept it? Yes. How was the visit? Difficult. Good difficult or terrible difficult? Both. I nodded. Those were often the important ones. She came closer. The wedding. My stomach tightened. Yes. We should reschedule it. I stared dramatically. You still want to marry me after discovering your secret sister, living father, and international truth-stealing conspiracy? Yes. Concerning judgment. Will you be there? I'll check my schedule. Her eyes narrowed. I smiled. Of course I'll be there. No sound. She kissed my cheek. Good. The second wedding was smaller. Much smaller. 30 guests. No diplomats. No business rivals. No mysterious invitations. Rule 1. No supernatural abilities during the ceremony. Rule 2. If a lost family member appeared, security would remove them before they reached the aisle. My mother added a third rule. No postponements under any circumstances short of fire, flood, or verified alien contact. The ceremony took place in the garden behind my parents' townhouse. Simple flowers. Soft lights. The giant duck seated near the back, because Aria claimed it was historically significant. My father stood beside me. You look nervous. I'm getting married. That's the general idea. What if something happens? Something always happens. That is not helpful. He adjusted my tie. Then the music began. Everyone stood. Aria appeared at the end of the aisle. No dramatic ballroom. No cameras. No headlines. Just her. She wore the same dress from the first ceremony. Not because the interrupted wedding no longer mattered. Because it did. That day was part of our story too. She walked toward me. Celeste accompanied her. Not replacing their father. Not pretending the past had healed. Simply walking beside her. When they reached the front, Celeste placed Aria's hand in mine. Her eyes met mine. "I'm sorry." The words were real. Painful. Incomplete. Enough for that moment. I nodded. "Thank you." She stepped away. Aria faced me. The officiant began speaking. I heard none of it. I was too busy staring at the woman who had once agreed to date me because my lies were silent. The woman who later learned that truth had a sound of its own. When it was time for our vows, Aria went first. "Ethan, I spent most of my life believing truth was something people either gave me or denied me." Her voice remained steady. "You taught me that truth can also be built." My throat tightened. Not from perfect honesty, but from repeated choice. You chose to stay when leaving would have been easier. You chose to see me beyond my ability. You gave me silence when I needed it and challenged me when silence became hiding. Her eyes held mine. I cannot promise never to doubt. I cannot promise never to be afraid. But I promise that when fear changes the meaning of what I remember, I will return to what we have chosen together. I swallowed hard. My turn. Terrible. I had written vows. Good vows. My mother had cried when she read them. I had lost the paper somewhere between the kitchen and the garden. Naturally. So I told the truth. Aria, when we met, I was pretending to be nothing. Her eyes shimmered. I thought being useless meant being safe. If no one expected anything, I could never fail anyone. I took both her hands. "Then you expected me to show up." A soft laugh moved through the guests. "And you kept expecting it, very aggressively." Aria smiled. "You saw every ridiculous lie I used to hide. Somehow, you loved me without demanding that I become someone else." I breathed in. "I promise I will keep choosing you, especially when fear gives me better excuses. I will stay when the truth is uncomfortable. I will remind you who you are when someone tries to rewrite your story." Her fingers tightened around mine. "And I promise never to schedule brunch before 11 unless legally required." Aria laughed through her tears. The officiant looked confused. My mother shook her head. "Perfect." We exchanged rings. The officiant pronounced us married. I kissed Aria. Applause filled the garden. No alarms. No strangers. No conspiracies. Just our families, our friends, and one giant stuffed duck. A flawless event. Mostly. At the reception, Naomi touched the wedding cake and discovered the baker had secretly replaced the vanilla filling with lemon. My mother nearly started a war. But technically, it was not supernatural interference during the ceremony. Rules mattered. Epilogue, the stories we keep 6 months after the wedding. Aria and I founded the Counterweight Project. The name was her idea. I proposed people with weird problems. The board rejected it. Cowards. The project helped gifted people control their abilities without surrendering their lives to Sebastian's network or people like Lucian and Alina. Naomi trained memory readers. Dr. Voss developed ethical guidelines. Maya ran everything while reminding us that she still did not get paid enough. Celeste joined eventually. Not as a leader. Not at first. She worked with people whose memories had been altered, helping them separate what they remembered from what they had been taught to believe. Some forgave her. Some did not. She learned to accept both. Aria learned to call her sister, quietly at first, then without hesitation. As for me, I became the project's official counterweight, which mostly meant sitting in difficult rooms so gifted people could think clearly. I also ran workshops. This was deeply humiliating. My first workshop included 12 listeners, 3 empaths, 2 memory readers, and 1 teenager who claimed he could hear the emotional thoughts of vending machines. I never confirmed that one. When I returned home that evening, Aria sat on the couch reading. The giant duck occupied the chair beside her. I dropped my bag. I helped people today. She looked up. How unfortunate. It was exhausting. Did they benefit? Yes. Then it was worth it. I dislike your logic. She returned to her book. I walked past, then stopped. There was a photograph on the shelf. Our wedding. Aria laughing. Me looking stunned that nothing had exploded. Celeste standing beside Maya. My parents holding hands. A moment of truth preserved without needing to be perfect. I sat beside Aria. She closed the book. What is it? Nothing. She waited. I sighed. I'm happy. She smiled. No sound. I leaned my head against the couch. Do you ever get tired of checking? I wasn't checking. What were you doing? Listening. I looked at her. There was a difference now. Once she had listened because she expected deception. Now she listened because truth was no longer something that hurt. It was something we shared. I took her hand. Outside, the city remained loud. People lied. Memories changed. Certainty broke. Somewhere, Sebastian Vale was still hiding, convinced truth required someone powerful enough to control it. He was wrong. Truth did not need a ruler. It needed witnesses. People willing to remember. People willing to question. People willing to choose one another again when fear changed the story. Aria rested her head on my shoulder. Ethan. Yeah. Do you think our lives will ever become normal? I considered the supernatural network, her memory-altering sister, my impossible ability, and the teenager emotionally counseling a vending machine. Yes, I said. Aria tilted her head. That was loud. I smiled. I'm improving. She laughed. And in the home we had built from inconvenient truths, imperfect memories, and repeated choices, I realized our story had never been about finding someone who could not lie. It was about finding someone who made the truth worth choosing. Again, and again, and again, I woke to a knife at my throat. Not metaphorically. An actual knife. Cold steel pressed against my skin, while morning sunlight filtered through the bedroom curtains. I did not move. This was partly intelligence. Mostly fear. Aria. My wife stood beside the bed, wearing one of my black shirts. She held the knife with perfect control. Of course she did. Aria approached breakfast with the same skill set most people reserved for hostage negotiations. Who are you? She asked. My heart stopped. Not slowed. Not skipped. Stopped. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were wrong. No recognition. No warmth. Only calculation. Ethan. Full name. Ethan Cole. How did you enter my apartment? Our apartment. The knife pressed closer. Bad correction. Very bad. Aria, look at me. I am looking at you. No, you're evaluating me. Different experience. Her grip shifted. I breathed carefully. On the nightstand sat our wedding photograph. I nodded toward it. You see that? Her eyes moved for half a second. Enough. I caught her wrist and twisted away from the blade. She reacted instantly. Her knee struck my ribs. Pain exploded through my side. I rolled off the bed and hit the floor. She came after me. Barefoot. Silent. Terrifying. Marriage was beautiful. I scrambled backward. Wait. Give me one reason. The giant duck. She froze. Not much. Just enough. The what? The giant stuffed duck in the living room. You won it at a night market. I don't attend night markets. You do when I sabotage our dates. Her expression tightened. I saw confusion. Good. Confusion was better than murder. You hate cilantro, I continued. You read the final page of mystery novels first. You pretend you don't cry during documentaries about rescue animals. I don't. There. The smallest reaction. A flinch. She had heard her own lie. Aria lowered the knife slightly. What did you do to me? Nothing. Her face twisted. She heard no lie. But silence no longer automatically meant she trusted me. We had survived that lesson already. I raised both hands. Your name is Aria Vale. We've been married for 6 months. Your sister is Celeste. Your assistant is Maya. Our wedding was disrupted once by a secret family revelation and almost disrupted a second time by lemon cake. Her eyes moved toward the door. Listening. Searching. The apartment was quiet. Where is my phone? Charging in the kitchen. Slowly. I stood. Every movement deliberate. Aria kept the knife. Fair. We entered the living room. The giant duck sat in the chair. Aria stopped. She stared at it. Something moved behind her eyes. A night market. Street food. Ring toss. A public argument. Me handing her a ridiculous prize. Her breath caught. I remember this. Relief nearly dropped me to my knees. Good. But I don't remember you. Relief canceled. I stayed standing. Barely. What is the last thing you remember? She closed her eyes. My father's funeral. My stomach turned cold. That had happened years before we met. The funeral memory Sebastian and Celeste had altered. Aria opened her eyes. I remember my mother telling the doctors to stop treatment. That wasn't your father. I know. She placed one hand against her temple. I know that, but I don't remember learning it. Her newer memories remained as facts. But the experiences attached to them were gone. Someone had not erased her knowledge. They had cut her emotional connection to it. To us. My phone rang. Maya. I answered. Please tell me nothing strange is happening. Her voice trembled. Naomi doesn't remember the counterweight project. I looked at Aria. The knife remained in her hand. Some mornings were worse than others. Maya called Dr. Voss. I did. And he claims Dr. Voss died 20 years ago. The room went silent. Then every screen in the apartment turned on. Television. Tablet. Laptop. Even the screen built into the refrigerator. One symbol appeared on each. A silver circle divided by a vertical line. Sebastian Vale's network. A man's voice came through the speakers. Good morning, Ethan. Aria went completely still. Her father's voice continued. I believe it is time we finished our conversation. The counterweight project was in chaos. By the time Aria and I reached its Manhattan headquarters, half the staff had fled. Not physically, emotionally. They remembered working there. They knew the organization's purpose, but they no longer believed they belonged. It was as though someone had removed the meaning from their lives while leaving the facts untouched. An empath named Laura stood near reception, staring at her identification badge. This says I've worked here for 7 months. You have, Maya said. I don't remember wanting this job. You came to us after your ability caused you to experience the emotions of an entire subway car. Laura looked frightened. That happened. Yes. I remember the train. I remember being sick afterward. Her eyes filled with tears. But it feels like someone else's life. Aria stood beside me, silent. She remembered founding the project. She knew she was its co-director. But when people came to her for leadership, she looked at them as strangers. Each time I saw frustration tighten her face. Aria hated uncertainty. Now she was trapped inside it. Dr. Voss sat in the main conference room, surrounded by files. He had recovered more quickly than the others. My memory has been altered before, he explained. I built safeguards. What kind? I asked. Written records, repeated rituals, objects linked to strong emotion. Naomi sat across from him, holding the old silver watch from our first test. She had touched it 3 times. Nothing. Her ability was gone. Or she had forgotten how to reach it. Celeste entered the room. She looked exhausted. Unlike the others, she remembered everything. Aria's eyes narrowed. Why weren't you affected? Celeste flinched at her sister's cold tone. She had become used to something warmer between them. Now it was gone. Because I recognized the intrusion. From whom? Our father. Aria heard the truth. It did not restore trust. Celeste placed a metal case on the table. The attack came through the network's old stabilization protocol. Dr. Voss paled. That system was dismantled. No, Celeste said. Sebastian hit its core. I looked around. Can someone explain this in language suitable for a person who thought networks were mostly computers and awkward business lunches? Dr. Voss opened the case. Inside was a thin glass disc threaded with silver wires. When gifted children entered the original program, we performed cognitive mapping. Experiments, Celeste corrected. His face tightened. Yes. Aria's file had described the tests. Sound frequencies, emotional triggers, memory anchors. Sebastian claimed they were necessary to understand supernatural abilities. In reality, he had been collecting pieces of each person's perception. He built a model of the network, Celeste said, not just names and abilities, patterns of thought. Emotional vulnerabilities, the stories each person uses to understand themselves. And now he's using those stories against them, I said. Celeste nodded. He didn't erase Aria's memories of you. He disconnected those memories from the identity she believes is hers. Aria's face remained composed, but her hand found mine beneath the table. She did not remember loving me. Still, some instinct made her reach for me. I closed my fingers around hers. She looked down at our hands, confused. Then she did something that nearly broke me. She let go. I'm sorry, she said. It's okay. It was not okay. She heard no lie. Because I was trying to make it okay for her. That was close enough to truth. What does Sebastian want? Maya asked. Celeste looked toward the dark conference room windows. To reconnect everyone through him. Naomi frowned. What does that mean? He wants to become the network's central anchor. Dr. Voss whispered, one source of certainty. Celeste nodded. One authority deciding which memories matter, which interpretations are valid, and which truths everyone accepts. I leaned back. So he wants to turn humanity into one enormous meeting, where only he gets to speak. Yes. Finally, a supernatural threat I understand. Aria looked at Celeste. Where is he? Celeste hesitated. The hesitation was enough. You know, Aria said. Yes. Tell me. He's beneath Veil Systems. Maya blinked. Beneath the headquarters. There is an abandoned transit station under the building. Sebastian converted it into the original network core before he disappeared. I looked at Aria. Even without remembering us, she had the same expression she always wore before making an extremely dangerous decision. We're going, she said. I sighed. Some parts of a person required no memory at all. We could not enter Veil Systems immediately. Sebastian controlled the building's security systems and the network core beneath it. Maya needed 6 hours to create an entry route. 6 hours. That was how long I had to sit beside a woman who knew she was my wife, but felt nothing when she looked at me. I preferred the knife. At least the knife had a clear purpose. Aria and I returned to the apartment to retrieve equipment. She moved through our home like a guest. Every room contained evidence of a life she could not feel. 2 coffee mugs. Her coat beside mine. Books mixed on shelves. A photograph of us asleep on a couch, taken by Maya after a late night at the project. Aria picked it up. I don't sleep around people. You sleep around me. I can see that. There was no warmth in her voice. Only analysis. She set down the photograph. How did we meet? I stared. You want the short version or the humiliating version? They're different. Not significantly. I told her. The blind date. My plan to offend her. The lies she could not hear. The second date at the night market. Tyler Grant. The board meeting. The gala. The moment I learned her secret. Aria listened from the couch. When I reached the part where she asked me to stay in her office, her expression changed. You stayed. 1 hour. Why? You bribed me with a billion-dollar development plot. Her eyebrows rose. I did not. You did. Why? You were emotionally unwell, and apparently property transfers were your love language. That sounds irresponsible. It was extremely attractive. She almost smiled. Almost. I continued. Lucian. The counterweight revelation. Elena. Celeste. Our interrupted wedding. Our completed wedding. The life we built afterward. When I finished, the apartment had grown dark. Aria sat very still. That sounds like someone else. I looked down. I know. You are hurt. No. She flinched. The lie reached her. Quiet but present. I laughed weakly. Still works. What works? You hear the lies I tell myself. Her gaze stayed on me. I don't want to hurt you. You're not. Another sound. Another flinch. Ethan. I'm adjusting. Stop. The sharpness in her voice startled me. Stop turning pain into something convenient for everyone else. I stared at her. She frowned. What? You used to say things like that. I did. Yes. Was I usually right? Infuriatingly. She looked away, then asked, "Do you expect me to become her again?" The question frightened me. No. That answer was silent. Aria looked back. I continued. I want your memories back because they belong to you, not because I need you to perform who you were yesterday. Her face softened slightly. If they never return. My throat tightened. Then I'll introduce myself again. Silence. No supernatural sound. No pressure. Just two people sitting in a home, built by one of them and forgotten by the other. Aria studied me. What would you do first? First, if we were meeting again. I considered. Then stood. Aria Vale. She watched me warily. I offered my hand. My name is Ethan Cole. I'm lazy, irresponsible, and emotionally suspicious of calendars. Her eyes moved to my hand. You're lying. Mostly. She accepted it. Her fingers were cold. Familiar. You're also my husband, she said. Allegedly. That is documented. Documents can be forged. Her lips moved. A faint smile. Tiny, but real. My wife did not remember loving me. Yet somewhere beneath stolen meaning and disconnected memories, she still found me annoying. Hope had arrived in its purest form. At midnight, Maya accessed the service tunnels beneath Vale Systems. Our team consisted of Aria, Celeste, Naomi, Dr. Voss, Maya, and me. A deeply questionable collection of people. Maya carried a laptop and 3 backup drives. Naomi carried memory anchors. Celeste carried the glass disc. Dr. Voss carried medical equipment. Aria carried a handgun. I carried sandwiches. Everyone mocked me until 3 in the morning, when the sandwiches became essential. We entered through a maintenance shaft, connected to an abandoned subway platform. The station had been sealed decades earlier. Old tile walls. Rusting tracks. Dark tunnels. Naturally, Sebastian had built his secret control center inside a place that already looked haunted. Red emergency lights illuminated the platform. Wires ran from the ceiling into rows of silver machines. At the center stood a circular structure similar to a glass chamber. Inside it, dozens of thin discs rotated around an empty chair. That is the anchor, Dr. Voss whispered. Maya examined her tablet. It's connected to the building's communications array. And beyond that, I asked. Satellite systems, government channels, financial networks. Why are secret villains always better funded than public infrastructure? Celeste approached the chamber. He's almost ready. A screen activated. Sebastian appeared. He was no longer on the island. The feed showed a dark room filled with equipment. Celeste, he said, you returned. She stepped toward the screen. Where are you? Close enough. Aria raised the gun. Restore what you took. Sebastian looked at her. My youngest daughter. A lie struck her. She did not react. Not because my counterweight ability blocked it. Because the words no longer held emotional power over her. You don't get to call me that, she said. Sebastian sighed. You misunderstand what I'm doing. I stepped forward. No, we understand. You think people make bad decisions when they're allowed to believe different things. People destroy one another over incompatible truths. So you remove choice. I remove chaos. Same speech, worse basement. Sebastian's eyes settled on me. You of all people should understand. Why? You spent your life suffering because others misunderstood what you were. Imagine a world where no gifted child is feared, no listener is dismissed, no memory reader is called delusional. And you achieve this by deciding what everyone believes, by forming a stable consensus. Control with better branding. His expression cooled. Mockery will not protect you. It's worked surprisingly well. The machines around us powered on. A low vibration moved through the platform. Aria staggered. I caught her. What happened? Her eyes widened. I can hear them. Who? Everyone. The network had activated. Thousands of lies struck her at once. Not spoken aloud. Remembered. Internalized. People telling themselves they were fine. Safe. Loved. Certain. The accumulated deception of the entire gifted network poured into her mind. She screamed. I held Aria as the network overwhelmed her. Her body shook violently. Blood appeared beneath her nose. Shut it down, I shouted. Maya ran to the nearest console. I can't, the system is rejecting me. Celeste pressed the glass disc into a circular port. The machine slowed. Not enough. Aria gripped my shirt. Ethan. I'm here. Make it stop. I had quieted abilities before. Naomi's memories. Lucian's domination. Elena's stolen certainty. But never at this scale. I placed both hands on Aria's face. Look at me. Her eyes could not focus. Too loud. Then listen to one thing. I can't. Yes, you can. The network pushed against me. For the first time, I felt the weight of what Aria experienced every day. Lies were not sounds. Not truly. They were fractures between reality and belief. Millions of tiny wounds. Every false promise. Every denial. Every cruelty disguised as protection. Every frightened person saying they did not care. I understood why she had built herself from ice. How else could anyone survive that much noise? I'm here, I repeated. The words were not enough. So I anchored them to memory. The rooftop restaurant. The night market. Warm milk in her office. The key to my apartment. Our wedding vows. The giant duck. Small choices. Repeated truths. The network reached for them. Tried to disconnect their meaning. I held tighter. Aria, you hate cilantro. Her eyes flickered. You reorganize the kitchen when you're angry. A breath. You pretend not to enjoy my terrible videos. Her shaking slowed. You gave me $1 billion property because you didn't know how to ask me to stay. Her lips parted. That was irresponsible. There she was. I laughed. Extremely. My ability expanded. Not by force. By refusal. I refused the network's claim on her perception. I refused Sebastian's authority over what our memories meant. Around us, the machines began failing. Lights burst. Glass cracked. Naomi gasped. My ability. She grabbed a metal railing. Images flooded her. I can see him. Who? Sebastian. Her eyes rolled back. He's inside the building, executive level, Aria's office. Of course. The man had returned to the symbolic center of his daughter's life. Villains loved symbolism almost as much as intercoms. Maya disconnected the central cable. The network's vibration weakened. Aria collapsed against me. Her eyes closed. Aria. No response. My heart stopped. Then she whispered, "Your tie was crooked." What? The first night we met. I froze. Her eyes opened. Warmth returned. Recognition. I thought it was irritating, she said. My throat closed. You remember. You ordered the most expensive wine. I was sabotaging the date. I know. You agreed to date me anyway. I know. She touched my cheek. Terrible judgment. I laughed once, somewhere between relief and collapse. My wife. Yes. Then her expression hardened. Ice Queen. Fully restored. Let's go find my father. We reached Aria's office just before dawn. Sebastian stood near the windows. No guards. No visible weapons. The city stretched behind him. He looked exactly as he had on the island. Calm. Controlled. Certain. Aria entered first. I stayed beside her. Celeste followed. The others remained near the elevator, working to disable the remaining network connections. Sebastian looked at his daughters. You restored the memories. Celeste held the glass disc. They were never yours to take. I gave you the ability to manage them. You used me. I taught you purpose. Celeste's face tightened. Aria stepped forward. You taught her obedience. Sebastian looked almost sad. You both mistake structure for cruelty. No, Aria said. We recognize cruelty when it calls itself love. The lie that rose inside him struck her. She smiled faintly. He noticed. You can hear me again. Yes. And Ethan restored your dependence on him. I started to speak. Aria squeezed my hand. I'll handle this. Attractive. Terrifying. Sebastian walked toward his desk. My work will continue with or without the network core. How? Because people want certainty. For once, he told the truth. They want leaders who promise simple answers, he continued. They want memories that make them innocent and beliefs that make them righteous. Also true, Aria said. Sebastian paused. He had expected denial. Aria gave him none. People use truth selfishly, she said. They use memory to excuse themselves. They surrender judgment when fear becomes exhausting. Sebastian's expression softened. Then you understand. Yes. Aria stepped closer. And I still reject you. His face changed. The first crack. Aria continued. Truth is dangerous. Choice is dangerous. Love is dangerous. None of that gives you the right to own them. I protected you. Lie. A violent one. Aria did not flinch. You were afraid of me. Sebastian's jaw tightened. You were a child with an uncontrolled ability. You were my father. I did what was necessary. Lie. The word cut through the office. Celeste moved to Aria's other side. Sebastian looked between them. You would have destroyed this family. Celeste whispered, there was no family left after you finished protecting it. His control broke. You ungrateful child. There. The truth under everything. Not protection. Not order. Entitlement. He believed their lives belonged to him because he had shaped them. Sebastian reached beneath the desk. I moved before he raised the weapon. A small device appeared in his hand. Not a gun. A trigger. He pressed it. The remaining network surged. Pain struck my skull. Celeste screamed. Aria staggered. Sebastian's voice filled the room. You will understand. The command carried supernatural force. His stolen network. His accumulated control. A single truth pushed into our minds. Sebastian is right. For 1 second I believed it. I saw the appeal. No uncertainty. No guilt. No need to choose. Just one authority carrying the burden of reality. Peace through surrender. Then a memory surfaced. Not dramatic. Not heroic. Aria at home, moving my coffee mug to the correct shelf. Me moving it back. Her moving it again. An endless domestic war no one could win. Choice was messy. Annoying. Repetitive. Beautiful. I laughed. Sebastian stared. What is funny? You built a machine to end disagreement. I looked at Aria. She understood. And you've never lived with your daughter. Aria's mouth curved. Together we stepped forward. My ability disrupted his command. Aria heard the lie sustaining it. Celeste changed its meaning. Not inside us. Inside Sebastian. The truth he forced on others returned to him as a question. What if I am wrong? He froze. For a man addicted to certainty, doubt was not discomfort. It was annihilation. The trigger fell from his hand. Security officers rushed into the office. Maya had restored control of the building. Sebastian did not resist as they restrained him. He stared at Aria. I am your father. Aria looked at him for a long moment. That is a fact. She turned away. It is no longer a claim on my life. The elevator doors closed between them. Sebastian Vale disappeared from view. This time none of us followed. Restoring the network took months. Some memories returned immediately. Others came back in fragments. A few never returned at all. The Counterweight Project opened recovery centers for those affected by Sebastian's attack. The work was slow. Painfully slow. People wanted a switch. A cure. A perfect reconstruction of who they had been. We could not provide that. So we offered something less magical. Records. Therapy. Community. Joyce. Naomi developed a system using memory-linked objects to help people recover emotional context. Celeste worked beside her. Their partnership was not peaceful. Naomi believed memory should be preserved. Celeste believed meaning could change without becoming false. They argued constantly. Dr. Voss called it productive tension. Maya called it a scheduling nightmare. Aria regained almost everything. But not all at once. She remembered our first date before she remembered our first kiss. She remembered our wedding vows before she remembered choosing her dress. She remembered loving me before she remembered the moment she realized it. That was strangely comforting. Love had survived even when its timeline broke. Some nights she woke confused. I would introduce myself again. Ethan Cole, husband, occasional consultant, excellent coffee maker. Her eyes would search mine. Then settle. Your coffee is inconsistent. Your memory is clearly improving. Over time, the confusion faded. The knife stayed in the kitchen. Mostly. One evening, we sat on our apartment floor surrounded by storage boxes recovered from Sebastian's island. Aria opened one containing childhood photographs. Celeste sat across from her. The sisters examined a picture of themselves beside a lake. Aria was a toddler. Celeste was holding her hand. I don't remember this, Aria said. I do. What happened? You tried to walk into the water. Why? You saw a duck. I looked up. The prophecy. Both women ignored me. Celeste smiled faintly. I pulled you back. You screamed for 20 minutes. Aria studied the photograph. Is that what really happened? The question carried no accusation. Only caution. Celeste considered before answering. That is how I remember it. Not absolute truth. Not false certainty. An honest limit. Aria nodded. Then placed the photograph into a new album. She wrote beneath it. The lake, Celeste remembers saving me from a duck. I looked at the caption. That duck may have been innocent. Aria glanced at the giant stuffed duck across the room. We may never know. Progress. A year passed. For once, no secret organization contacted us. No supernatural enemy interrupted dinner. No one emerged from Aria's family history with a forged invitation. Peace made me suspicious. Then Aria walked into the kitchen, holding a small white object. I glanced at it, then continued making coffee. 3 seconds later, my brain processed what I had seen. I turned slowly. Aria remained near the doorway. Her expression unreadable. Is that yes? Oh. Intelligent response. Strong performance. I set down the coffee pot. Missed the counter slightly. Are you sure? Yes. Lie. No. I stared at the pregnancy test. Then at my wife. Then back at the test. My legs became oddly optional. I sat down. Aria watched me. Say something. I'm considering several words. Choose one. Terrifying. Her face closed slightly. Wrong word. Very wrong word. I stood immediately. No, not bad, terrifying. There is a good version. Yes, roller coasters, deep oceans, you. Her eyes narrowed. Still failing. I crossed the kitchen. I'm scared. The truth settled between us. Aria's expression softened. So am I. I took her hands. What if the child has an ability? Then we help them understand it. What if I influence them without knowing? Then we remain attentive. What if we become like our parents? Aria went quiet. That was the real fear. Not abilities. Inheritance. The invisible wounds parents passed down while claiming they were protection. She placed one hand against my chest. We will make mistakes. My father said that before our wedding. He was right. Don't tell him, he'll become unbearable. Aria smiled. We will make mistakes, she repeated, but we will not own our child's truth. I looked at her. We give them choice. Yes. And reasonable expectations. Yes. Not too reasonable. Ethan. I don't want to raise an overachiever. They're exhausting. You married one. Under supernatural circumstances. She laughed. The fear remained. But now it had somewhere to live other than inside us. I pulled her closer. She rested her head against my shoulder. We're having a baby, I whispered. Yes. That sounds extremely responsible. You'll adapt. Unlikely. Lie. She was right. Of course she was. Our daughter was born on a rainy Thursday morning. Her name was Lily. Aria chose it. I claimed naming a child after a flower lacked strategic impact. Then Lily wrapped her tiny hand around my finger, and I agreed she could have any name she wanted, including Supreme Commander. Aria was exhausted, pale, beautiful. She held Lily against her chest while I sat beside the hospital bed. For the first few hours, nothing supernatural happened. No lights flickered. No mysterious symbols appeared. No ancient network activated beneath the building. A successful birth. Then Lily opened her eyes and looked at me. Newborn babies were not supposed to focus clearly. Lily did. Her gaze locked onto my face. I smiled. Hello. She stopped crying. Aria looked at me. Counterweight. Maybe she just appreciates excellent bone structure. Aria raised an eyebrow. The lie was silent. Harmless. Lily turned toward her mother. Aria whispered, "Hello, Lily." The baby made a small sound. Not a cry. Not a laugh. Something softer. Aria froze. What? She stared at our daughter. Aria. Her eyes filled with tears. I heard it. Heard what? Truth. My breath stopped. What truth? Aria touched Lily's cheek. She knows she is safe. Emotion hit me so hard I had to look away. Not because I was crying. Hospital air was very dry. Aria reached for my hand. I gave it to her. Lily's fingers closed around both of ours. The three of us stayed like that. A listener, a counterweight, and a child whose first gift was not hearing lies or altering memories. It was expressing truth before she had words. Dr. Voss would want tests. The project would want records. The network would want to understand. They could wait. For that morning, Lily belonged only to herself. Not to an ability. Not to a prophecy. Not to anyone's expectations. Aria looked at me. Are you happy? I thought about our first date. The lies. The silence. Every impossible thing that followed. Then I looked at our daughter. Yes. Aria smiled. No sound. Lily yawned. A tiny wave of peace moved through the room. Aria felt it. So did I. Our daughter's ability settled around us, gentle and warm. Safety. Belonging. Love without explanation. I leaned toward Aria. This feels suspiciously like a happy ending. It isn't an ending. No. She looked at Lily. It's a beginning. I sighed. Beginnings are usually where problems start. Aria rested her head against mine. Yes. Should we be concerned? Probably. I smiled. Good. Because normal had never been our strength. Truth was difficult. Love was inconvenient. Parenthood looked absolutely terrifying. But I had learned something since the night I walked into a restaurant intending to ruin a date. A meaningful life was not built by waiting until fear disappeared. It was built by choosing what mattered while fear complained in the background. Lily opened her eyes again. She looked at Aria, then at me. A small feeling moved through the room. Warm. Certain. Home. For once, I did not make a joke. I simply held my family. And listened. Epilogue. The lie our daughter refused to believe 5 years later. Lily Vale Cole stood on a chair in our kitchen wearing a silver cape. She had made the cape from one of Aria's expensive scarves. Aria had not yet discovered this. I planned to blame the duck. Daddy, Lily said. Yes, Supreme Commander. I am going to fly. I looked at the kitchen counter beneath her feet. No. Yes. You do not have a flying ability. You don't know. I know enough. She stretched out both arms. The room filled with confidence. That was Lily's gift. She did not force people to believe her. She made them feel the truth as she understood it. Unfortunately, 5-year-olds understood many incorrect things with extraordinary passion. For half a second, I genuinely believed she could fly. Counterweight immunity had limits when faced with parental panic. I grabbed her just as she jumped. She laughed. I nearly died. Aria entered the kitchen. She stopped. Her eyes moved from Lily to the silver cape. Then to me. What happened to my scarf? Lily pointed at the giant stuffed duck. He did it. Aria flinched. Her first clear lie. I stared at our daughter. Lily stared back. Then smiled. Aria slowly folded her arms. Ethan. Yes. Your daughter has learned to lie. My daughter. You taught her. I would never. Aria flinched again. Lily giggled. The room filled with delighted mischief. I lifted her from the chair and placed her safely on the floor. Listen, young lady, with great power comes great responsibility. You hate responsibility. Aria covered a laugh. I looked at my wife. She's using my words against me. She learns quickly. This is poor parenting. Probably. Lily wrapped her arms around our legs. Warm certainty filled the kitchen again. Love. Home. Safety. Mess. Aria looked at me over our daughter's head. Her expression softened. For all the lies we had survived and all the truths others tried to choose for us, this was the life we had built. Imperfect. Loud. Ours. Lily looked up. Can I have cake for breakfast? No, Aria and I said together. Lily's ability swept through the room. Suddenly, cake for breakfast seemed reasonable. Nutritionally balanced, even. I opened the refrigerator. Aria grabbed my wrist. Counterweight. I'm trying. You're failing. She's powerful. She's 5. Exactly, no impulse control. Lily raised both hands in victory. Cake. Aria looked at me. I looked at her. Then we looked at our daughter. Half a slice, Aria said. Lily cheered. I whispered she won. Aria cut the cake. This time. But we both knew the truth. Our daughter had inherited my talent for chaos, Aria's refusal to surrender, and an ability more dangerous than either of ours. We were completely outmatched. And I had never been happier. If you like another part, let me know. Future stories will focus on the daughter.